There we are.
Okay.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Oh, you went dark there for a second. Oh,
Yeah.
here we go. We got you back.
Busy freezing up, It's cold up here.
It is. It's a chilly 82 degrees today in Boca.
Unbelievable.
This is. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for it to cool down a little bit because I'm trying to train for this marathon, and it's very tough in this weather. It's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, listen, it was 25 degrees when I woke up today, so you want to come and run out here.
Nah, that's geweld.
As I say, that's a Mura weather,
Yeah, that's we did not grow up with that. That was like the inside of a freezer. Maybe
Yeah.
you'd experience that kind of weather. But no,
Okay.
let's try to finish this up.
Yeah,
David
we're at the cusp.
is taking us to the end here.
Yes. So we are we have literally just the last few paragraphs now of Ms. Moshe.
Yeah, this is the end. David HaMelech has taken us all the way through. Rav Kook has taken us all the way through to this internal scream that David HaMelech is saying. Ribono Shel Olam, listen to the part of me that is the real part of me, the part that justifies the rest of my existence. That's this piece. So, all right, let's see. It says, you have changed my my hesped, my eulogy, right? Which is a strange word, but lemacha li to a simcha.
Mm-hmm.
So it says, "Hamigras hanimtzis ba'olam eina miusedes ki im lahotzi al yada es hakara shel hamilui v'hayitron." So that which is lacking in the world tells us that which is necessary and that which is unnecessary. Right? Lacking tells us what you can survive without. And the same way that heartbreak and loss and lacking is epitomized in this world and is expressed in this world through the notion of a eulogy. It says, so too that which is extra, that which is more than necessary, is expressed by rejoicing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Meaning there's like the baseline of existence, and then there are ups and there are downs. So the highest of the ups is celebration, and the lowest of the downs is mourning. So, and then he says, that the machal, the celebration, awakens within the soul from this deep internal place of rejoicing. That drives a person to dance, basically, right?
It's almost like that the idea needs to come out in action.
Right, like it's this. It overflows to the point that you can't help but to move as a result, right? Like today when people say it, like, "Wow, that really moved me," so I tweeted something about it. Right, it was so moving. I had to take a picture. Right? Because no, there's takasam simcha that like is just so moving.
You have to move.
So moving that the only expression is for it to come out.
It's so interesting in children. It's like so obvious because like like when you put on something and the child's happy, or you put on hear music, they just like can't. They're naturally like their feet start like bobbing, and
right.
they like are naturally in tune where we're more able to dial down the experiences to the point that it doesn't really matter so much. We're trying to able to disconnect.
Right, and we call that maturity. Right, we call it mature to be like unemotional about things, to be like not able to feel things anymore.
Good and bad,
yeah. I was having this conversation with somebody a little while ago, especially when it comes to like the world of emotions, is that our emotional experience overwhelmingly is like very limited. Like we've spoken about this once or twice before, Bichlal, that like most people don't like experience the highs and lows of life in a palpable and tangible way. Most of us feel it in like a very sheltered way. Like the highs and lows of life don't take place locally, right? Death happens in hospitals, like birth happens in hospitals. Food, like the simcha of like the growth of food coming from the ground, comes from Costco. Like that joy that like somebody experiences, like seeing growth, doesn't happen. And the loss that like the loss that is felt when like an animal is shechted, like we don't feel that. Like so for us, like as this conversation came about as a result of a conversation with some kids that were like throwing away food. I was like, I understand that you have plenty, but like just know that historically what we consider waste today was called rations. Like people like lived on this stuff. It was a different world. And the same is true about like emotions. We don't feel like our emotional roller coaster is like very narrow. And because of that, like somebody says something mean, so we get very angry very quickly. And somebody does something nice, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing in the world. It's like the biggest simcha in the world is like, I got a good deal. but like when the experiences of life are commensurate with like the emotional roller coaster, so then like we actually do express things. So like, and then it drives a person to do something. But for Rav Kook, he clearly felt this. David
Yeah,
Melech,
and David Melech clearly too.
right?
That's the beauty.
It says v'nimtza shehachisaron be'atzmai ba le'male yoseres hamilui. And then it comes out that the chisaron, that which is lacking in and of itself, has more fulfillment than the extras. Ulahatimoy yofe b'mama kachayim, and it gives a deeper experience and a deeper expression of the profundity of life. That's very deep what Rav Kook is saying here, if I understand him correctly. That like the profundity and meaning and beauty of life is made more profound and more beautiful because there are peaks and valleys, not just because there's peaks and other peaks.
Mm-hmm.
So if this parak so far has taken us through like this philosophical treatise on how to understand challenge, so the end is hafachta mizbedi lemachali doesn't mean that you made my crying into joy. What he means is that you made me experience the profundity of crying the same way that you've made me experience the profundity of joy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that all bad things have become good. It's that there is depth and meaning and relevance to all of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Which I suppose is a big madrega.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost as if you're saying that the way to that it's almost like the migras, the lack is providing the understanding for the lack for the fill. Meaning you can't really appreciate the fill without the lack itself, which is the world we live in.
Right. It's the contrast that gives it meaning.
Yeah, if we don't have that misbelilo, then we wouldn't have lemacholi. We wouldn't have that dance.
But that hafachta, that because I now recognize this, I see the value in both.
Yes.
I would have just thought that being broken is being broken, but no, I see that it's just as valuable as being
right. It's a stepping stone to that. So it's interesting.
Which is pretty cool. That's
it is. It's a pretty amazing idea. So that carries on to the
yes.
So Pitata Zakiata is ready simcha. So now the image is that the person's wearing sackcloth, they're wearing this garb of mourning, and they're good now in simcha. So it's the same change. So says Rav Kook in the bottom, he says Keshem sheyesh chisaron shel he'eder hachitzoni. When the same way when there's a lack of on the external side, machzor v'giroin, that which is lacking, bitnai hamakif es ma'amad ha'eshesh ha'chaim, which surrounds the standing of happiness in life. which is expressed through mourning. Kacha yesh michoser pnimi. There's also the machzor pnimi. There's also an internal lag. Hamaakev ba'ad or ha'atzala v'hanafshis, which stops the light of the internal soul. We'll call the shining forth of the soul. Shelo yuchol atzais. It's not able to express itself. Ma'alim hu eza'or. It hides the light. Milachdor lo afia b'merchakim, to arrive at lo far pastures. Haru'im lekabel hoifai, so it should be able to receive it. Zois hi chagiras sak. This is the covering of sackcloth. Ha'ateh ma'ateh keha umisgeres evil al gabe hachayim. So this is almost like this covering, which is sort of keeping that light in the box. You can't really
draped over.
Right. Va'voatzeres es shitofam hatzohel, and it stops there's this bright overflow which should be happening. And therefore, when the matter becomes revealed, shekol hamigraos shebo beyichusim hatnayim shel hachayim, and then when all the lack which came because of relationships or the requirements are, as I guess, the function of life, shetoichen hamisped holeim lahem, which it's what does it say holeim? How do you translate?
Hamisped holeim lahem probably astounds behalim.
Right, so it's toichen. So bo rak lahamik yoser so ora tova chesed. They only came to deepen the light of chesed and the light of goodness which is hidden. And to deepen the feeling of the feeling of its the depth of its taste. Oz haruach hakaheh apnimi shekoseh shechusab b'ma'ata asak hamachshich masir kadrus ruach mispateachu v'simchas haneshama makifa es achayim kulam l'chol ha'ma'ercheihem pitata zaygatas inisimcha. So it's almost as if, like you're saying, it's the same kind of idea as before. That the holding back, the avelus, is the prerequisite to enjoyment, but the way to get to that is sort of taking off the cover. It's that everything was there beforehand; it was all internally there. This happiness, this joy, this exuberance, this love of life was all there. It was just really being covered. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what you do is you enable me to express it fully without it being limited anymore. Seems to be the idea.
It's like a shedding. It's like the shedding of an outer layer, and then that which is inside can come to fruition.
That's beautiful, because that means that the default position for human being, if they were really to be listening to themselves, is a state of happiness and joy.
Right.
And it's just it just covers upon them which need to be uncovered in order to be able to get there.
Right. There's what to shed in order to get there, which is interesting. It's there's the hafachta misv'dil machali, which is the actual circumstance itself. That I recognize that there are ups and that there are downs, and you've allowed me to change this perspective. And then pitachta saki, meaning once I have the capacity to see this perspective differently, so then that affects who I am. Mm-hmm. Now I'm a person that can experience simcha even in the hesped.
Mm-hmm.
There's the shedding of that garb, that like tearing it apart to be able to shine forth that which is naturally true, which is that everything is good and happy and has amazing potential.
Beautiful.
Yeah, this is like a whole mahalach in the philosophy of challenge.
Yes,
that's really what this whole parak is coming around to.
Right, and also the essence of a human being, as well. Where do we start with, which is a profound point as well.
All right, so that I can sing your covered. V'lo yidam, and not be silenced. Hashem Elokai le'olam adeka. Hashem, my God, I will show gratitude to you forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to thank you forever. That's so. Is that the Zimra? Is that like Hashem Elokeinu Ramadeka? Is that the song? Maybe.
Or the proclamation of the song. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to know.
Right, like maybe that's the niggun. Let's see. Okay, so he says, "Kol ha'afros shebahavaya mechuvenes hein lechazik yoser es hakoch hachiyuni hachai va'apol." All of the disruptions in life, ultimately, what I'm trying to do is to strengthen life, to make it more exuberant, more vibrant. Hakavod shel hametzius kula hanora behoidai v'hadrai. The glory of all existence, which is the Ribbon Shalom, with his beauty and awe and recognition, is dulled by how familiar we are with Hashem. Meaning, we don't look around and go, "Wow!" to everything, because we could, but we don't. And then he says, "Ha'afras ve'i havtacha chilufei hazmanim v'nefilus hamatzavim." The feelings that we have of uncertainty, and the transition of times, the falling from states of regularity, haba'im kulam meharega shel ha'af, that all come from those moments that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, so to speak, angry, right? Ki rega ba'apo. Heim ha'ma'orim es zimras hakavod. Those things awaken the song of Hashem's honor, as harega shachai, the feeling of being alive. Shel gadlus havaya v'yofi sidura, the greatness of existence and the beauty of its grand order. Ba'otzem chesed elyon asher ba, with the great strength of Hashem's kindness that is inherent within it. Verum ha'idеалиus shebemagamasa haklalis, and the immense ideology that comes with this overwhelming perspective. Vehazimra, and the song hamechuvenes biyos legabe havaras hasimcha hamiskaberes, that comes as an expression of a happiness that is overcoming. That transforms the sadness and the bitterness of life into a celebration of the beauty of existence. So he says all of this. He says, "V'hinei atzmius ha'afros goremes es zimras hakavod." It comes out that the existence of challenge is the direct cause of the appreciation of Hashem's presence in the world. That's the Zimras HaKavod. That it is that's the cause of it. Uma shehein mizdamnus beitim shonim, and the fact that it happens at different times. Shaloi tavar ha'dumya aleinu, that silence should not come over us, so that we don't become like humdrum and boring and take things for granted. Meaning, this whole experience of ups and downs of life is to effectively ensure that we don't become dulled by regularity. V'haregesh hamakudash lo yipol b'dmamas maves, and that internal feeling of the expression of transcendence doesn't die as a result of boredom, doesn't become silenced from not being accessed, not being used, not being experienced. Like Yair Ba'ar Chaim, it is awakened, it is illuminated, Ba'ar Chaim, with the light of life. Asher Hoid V'Hadar V'Oz V'Chedba B'Ma'onai, where there is beauty and grandeur and strength and happiness in that place. This one of my students was asking me. We were talking about the story of Bereshis as a whole. That it seems to be that Mefurish in the Pesukim that it was only after the Mabul that the seasons came into being.
Right.
Right? And those seasons Hashem puts into the world, it seems to be quite clearly that it's for this purpose. It's for the purpose of reminding us that, like, it's not like every time you put a seed in the ground, it'll grow. Like, if that happened every single time, so then you would never ask for rain. You would never talk to Hashem. Like, nothing would inspire us to be like, okay. It's only when something like doesn't work, it breaks for a second, that we okay. I guess there's what to think.
Track,
right? I guess there's something to look at. So, and that's on, like, major human scale. But this is true. Rav Kook is saying on, like, the tiny micro scale, the ups and downs. He says Umeshech Hazman, and throughout the time that we experience this, Hanoisen la Rega Ha'af, the Yos Miskalim Mitzvahs, that allows this moment of anger to be expressed in reality. Shehu mishuar leha'amik esachayim al yisod hanetzach. That gives us the shehu mishuar leha'amik, that is meted out, it's measured out, in order to deepen the experience of the eternity of life, right? To reinstate life as something eternal. Ha'holech le'ein shir v'ket, something that continues forever without any stop. V'or Hashem miskaleh, and the light of Hashem that is revealed, mitoch hamezeg hazeh, from this perspective, shel chesed elyon, from the eternity of the kindness of Hashem, hamisra'el lif'amim b'midas din u'mishpat, that is expressed from time to time in judgment and justice. Heim asher yisavvu es tchunas ha'odah hanitzchis. It is this that gives us an appreciation, that is the cause of gratitude, of eternal gratitude. She'ena b'teila le'olam, that doesn't stop ever. Which now Rav Kook comes to I suppose the key of this whole understanding, kol hakarbanos betelim, that in the future all of the karbanos will be nullified. The karban toda eino batal, but gratitude, the carbon of gratitude, will never be nullified. Gratitude will exist forever. L'man yizamer chachavod v'lo yidam, so that we should continue to express and experience the honor of Hashem everywhere in the world without silencing. The Yidam is the voice within ourselves. Hashem alakal olamadeka, and therefore Hashem, we will thank you forever.
So, like, the disturbances are. So, what do the disturbances do? They trigger this at various moments to sort of take us out of the malaise of we'll call that, just sort of without the lack of notice, right?
Right.
And so we're looking for the opportunity to be able to have it as la'olam, and it's not just at moments of triggering, not just at moments of realization.
It's almost to a certain extent. I mean, now that we're like very in like the early weeks of having a baby, which are easy to forget.
Thank God.
And we're often anxious to forget them, but when the baby cries, so the baby cries because it's lacking something.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for the fact that the baby was lacking something, the baby wouldn't cry. And if the baby wouldn't cry, then you wouldn't give them the thing that they needed, which, melee, if they didn't need that thing, then fine. But then you also wouldn't, like, speak to the baby. Right? Then just things would happen. Right? That's, sometimes parents get excited that, like, oh, my children are self-sufficient. And then they're middle schoolers and they're teenagers, and look how self-sufficient they are. And then 5 years later you catch up with them and they're like, yeah, I miss speaking to my kids. Like, they've moved on, they don't talk to me anymore, only when they need something. And I think that's the Siddur that Rav Kook is saying here, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu keeps us close to him, keeps us connected to him by those ups and downs. That's what gives us the expression of gratitude, which is ultimately just the excuse for connection.
Yeah.
That I experience the chesed of Hashem in the world, V'lo yidam, and I don't shut out that which is like deeply me.
Wow, what a powerful idea! Powerful idea. This whole Mizmor already deals with a lot of tragic, a lot of difficult things. It makes sense why we read this on a daily basis. Before we start this whole thing.
Right. This is the introduction. This is the introduction to I suppose the much of Pesukei de Zimra is like talking about like all the kindness of Hashem.
Mm-hmm.
So now this explains why it's an introduction.
Incredible.
Right? Meaning the purpose of Pesukei de Zimra is, and I suppose that's the answer to the question. What is the song of Hashem? L'man yizomercha chavod. That's Pesukei de Zimra.
Right. Oh, well, that's what it's supposed to be, ideally. Right.
Right.
Excellent.
Meaning that's the song. That's what we're attempting to do. L'man yizomercha chavod v'lo yidam is before I start my day, before I engage in asking you for things,
Let me praise you.
I share what I appreciate.
Praise you.
I understand that I'm part of this amazing world of Chasdei Habare.
Incredible.
That's Hashem Elokeinu Olam Hadeka. That's that. I'm going to recognize. I'm going to be gracious and grateful, because if I recognize that there is lack in my life, then I recognize that it's your kindness that keeps me going.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
This is a whole share for like the rest of life.
Right. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to be.
Like when things happen and you say like, Rebbeinu Shalom, what do you want from me? Most of the time it's rhetorical. David HaMelech is saying like, no, it's not rhetorical. Like it's a legitimate question. Rebbeinu Shalom, what do you want from me? I'll tell you what Hashem wants.
I have to work it out.
Right?
Very painful process. Very painful process.
That's awesome.
Good. Rabbi, a pleasure. How many weeks has it been now to finish this?
This is week 10, I think. We're on week
10 weeks. Wow. Okay. So now onwards and upwards to wonderful things in Hashem.
Yeah.
We have a lot to be learning about in the future.
Amen. That means Rav Kook's next piece is the Hareini Mezamenes P. That's and he touches on it. He touches on what that means. So
to look forward to Mitzvah Hashem.
That should be cool. All
Looking forward.
My dear sweet and holy friend, Rabbi Trump, it's always a bracha, it's always a simcha, and we'll see you guys next week.
Fantastic. You have yourself a fantastic week ahead.
You too. We'll see you later.